You're listening to the Stephen Tauriello Show, building a platform of liberty for people in search of truth with a dash of hope and a life worth living. The Stephen Tauriello Show. And now, here's Stephen.
What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to the show. As always, thank you for tuning in. So, you guys ever seen that movie Predators? It's not the old school ones. The movie starts with them falling through the air, completely confused, have no idea what's going on, and then their parachutes open, they land, they don't know who the hell anybody is, they've never seen them before, and so they're on this alien planet, they're walking through the jungle, and they stumble across a bunch of booby traps. And all of them just barely escape all these booby traps from every direction. I mean, you got spikes, you got punji sticks in one, you got a deadfall trap on another with this giant log swinging from a rope after hitting a tripwire. And you have these spikes falling from a tree in all directions. And so they go around the corner and they see this dead soldier laying up against a rock. And they're looking at it and they're like, what is this? And the Russian says, this was last stand, firing in every direction. And so in that moment, you realize that soldier planned on not leaving that spot. And so that's why every single direction was booby-trapped. And that's why he had his back up against the wall and he made his last stand. And essentially saying, if I'm going, I'm taking as many with me. That is exactly what we're watching right now. This club, this system that you're not invited to, that any outsider they see as a threat and must destroy at any cost, no matter what it is, firing in every direction and taking out as many people as it can on its way down. What we're watching right now from this corrupt DC swamp system, from the elite ruling class in Washington, D.C., the people that have been running this country into the ground for decades, the people who have been making everyone's lives miserable while they fly around on private jets, the political class. This is their last stand. And they're firing in every direction at a disparity. They are like a trapped animal in a corner with their back against the wall, and they're lashing out at everyone and everything. We've never seen anything like this before, ever. And in fact, I got some audio here that a lot of other conservatives have been using of Newt Gingrich. Explains it exactly, that this is a corrupt establishment that is desperately trying to hang on to its power, trying desperately to hang on to its club that it doesn't want to lose. And they see Donald Trump as a threat. They see this movement, this populist movement that they call MAGA, we call Make America Great Again. They see this as its biggest threat. This election coming up is not Republicans versus Democrats. It's the establishment versus the people. And they will do anything they have to retain power. Even if that means bringing the whole damn thing down with them. So I'm going to go ahead and play this audio of Newt. And it's pretty heavy. It's pretty dark. But these, ladies and gentlemen, are dark days.
I think we are drifting towards the greatest constitutional crisis since the 1850s and the rise of secession and the Civil War. I don't mean that as hyperbole. If you read Andy McCarthy's remarkable book, Ball of Collusion, which came out in 2019, he makes very clear that it is Barack Obama who corrupts the Justice Department. It is Hillary Clinton who routinely breaks the law and gets away with it. And now we have Joe Biden who's learned. He's learned from Obama that doesn't matter what you do, if you're a liberal Democrat, you will not be prosecuted. He learned from Hillary that a person in high public office can get millions and millions of dollars. And they learned from watching Donald Trump that a true outsider willing to take on the entire system could destroy their entire machine. So what you're seeing across the country is a desperate last-ditch effort by a corrupt machine to destroy their most dangerous opponent in a way which not only breaks the Constitution, destroys the rule of law, and establishes a moment of bitterness, which I think will last for a generation or more. I think this is going to be a horrendous period, and we just need to understand the people who want to control America and dictate to the rest of us will break any law, lie about any topic, and manipulate the system any way they can, and that includes a lot of the elite news media.
Ladies and gentlemen, the revolution is here. It's not coming. It's not going to be here one day. It is here now. And I asked my buddy earlier today, a good friend of mine who's not really into politics, has a tons of other things to worry about, and politics is like one of the last things he thinks about. But he's probably one of the most level-headed people that I can talk to about politics, because he truly is a nonpartisan person. He doesn't really go one way or the other. And those are the people that I like to ask questions, for the simple fact that I'm biased. I have skin in the game. There's a side that I support. And so I have to reach out to people like him so that I can just make sure that I'm on the right path and my bearings are straight. And I asked him today, do people see what is happening? So, like, do regular people see the destruction that's being brought to this country? Is it just me that sees and notices the amount of damage that's being done by these indictments and by the Democrat Party and the Washington establishment? And he said, no, they don't see it. They don't see it. And so I asked him, well, what can we do to get them to see it? What can we do for the people that have their head in the sand to see what is happening, so that it's not too late by the time they notice? And he said, nothing. There's nothing you can do. It was kind of chilling, I guess, because it does feel hopeless sometimes. So when I get behind this microphone and I make these episodes and I make these shows day after day after day, hour after hour, to get the message out there, because it's the only thing I can do. I don't know what else to do. When you look and you do research on how to make social change, one of the main things is to communicate with your fellow citizens. And so that's what I'm doing. That's why I made the show. And you notice I said social change. What we're dealing with right now is a social pathogen. This Trump derangement syndrome, which I've been saying for years, is a true mental disorder. And I think it's infected millions of people, and it's all been implemented. These people have all been brainwashed with this hatred by the media. When Donald Trump first said, and I remember this years ago, clear as day, and I know a lot of you do too, when he said the media is the true enemy of the people, I never heard that before in my life up until then, because the media was always, that was our only output from the inside. What was happening from inside our politics? What was happening around our country? And the media was our only channel to get that information. Well, just like everything else, the media has been overtaken by the elite ruling class, the corrupt establishment. They have taken control over almost every single institution that we have in this country. And when you have that amount of power, you're able to change society any way you want. And that is exactly what we're watching. This is why sometimes it feels like we're living in completely two different realities, where men can give birth and compete in women's sports, and allowing children to chop off their genitals to affirm their gender, to saying that Joe Biden's economy is such a success and that everything he does is great. Now, I get some of that's partisan, but a lot of that is propaganda. A few episodes ago, I did a show on how 2024 is going to be the biggest propaganda campaign in United States history. And unfortunately, we have the people that do have their head in the sand. You know, my friend told me Like, even though he's not into politics, even though his head's not in the sand, but he's not devoted to what we are, to listening to politics all the time, to being constantly involved in our local politics and national politics. But he flat out said that we all know we're going to vote for Donald Trump. And this is coming from somebody that's not into politics. This is, he knows just enough to keep his moral compass, to keep him in the right direction. And this is how I feel like a lot of people in this country are. He doesn't listen to CNN and MSNBC. He doesn't listen to the mainstream media. He gathers news from multiple different outlets, whether it's through his friends and family or just scrolling through social media, and he gathers all the information and he makes a decision. This is why we know everything that the Democrats are thinking, but they don't know anything we're thinking, because they're stuck in this echo chamber that's being filled with propaganda by the media. And the media is a tool being used by this establishment. The establishment has officially taken control of all sectors of our government, our schools and academia, colleges and universities, our Hollywood celebrities, and our government institutions like the intel agencies, the FBI, the CIA, the CDC, the FDA. Those have been taken over for a long time. And then the media. They have full-blown support, and a lot of people will say, yeah, Stephen, but they've always had control of these outlets. Everybody knows that saying, that the person that controls the media controls all the information, and they can bend the information all they want. This is information warfare, 100% information warfare. We are in a revolution right now. Part of the tactic the enemy is using, that's right, I said enemy, that the enemy is using is information warfare. Unfortunately, those people that have their head in the sand, they're just listening to every single word that they hear with hatred, with disdain, with propaganda, talking points, evil. We're truly in a war of good and evil. That is what this is. This is why we have people living in the same country, but it seems like we're living in completely two different realities. It's because these people are stuck in their echo chamber. Nothing has changed. Whoopi Goldberg always says things seem to be really weird now. But they never ask themselves what has changed. What has changed? What changed was a billionaire real estate mogul from New York named Donald Trump, a true outsider. By the sheer will of the people and an act of God, he got elected, and it terrified these people. Terrified them. That is why every single time he turned around, he was getting stabbed in the back. Granted, a lot of that was the personnel that he chose. A lot of that was the people he surrounded himself with inside the establishment. We actually had somebody inside. We had an outsider that infiltrated the system. This is why they have to get rid of Donald Trump. And that is the only reason why they have to get rid of him. And just like Newt Gingrich said, this is their last stand. Their back is up against the wall, and they're firing in all directions. They got the echo chamber filled. They got the indictments going out, arresting political opponents. They're spreading fear. Soon it's going to be COVID's going to be coming back out to add even more fear. They're using every single tool that they got in their arsenal to make sure Donald Trump does not get in there, because he will return this country back to the people. He has already said it. He has already said it. He said, you're coming after me, I'm coming after you. They know exactly who he was talking about. He was talking about this corrupt Washington establishment swamp. These people that have been putting this country in a decline for decades. That's who he's coming after, and they all know it. I guarantee you, mark my words right now, when Donald Trump wins the election, you're going to see rats jumping ship before he even puts his hand on the Bible. When this man comes out and says, we are not having a dinner, we're not having a celebration party, we're not having a speech, the minute that I remove my hand from that Bible, I am going in and I am firing everyone. When somebody says that, these people are shaking in their boots. They are pissing their pants. because this is a system that they've been working on for decades. Decades. Why do you think people like Donald Trump don't get elected? Why? There's been plenty of people that run. Look at Bernie Sanders. I get it. He's a career politician, but he was actually somebody that was a threat to them. Granted, he's a coward and he bent the knee and joined right into the ranks. Who was really the last person? Reagan, you could say Reagan, but he wasn't a true outsider. A somewhat outsider, nonetheless, very successful. Donald Trump gave this country the best years it's seen in decades. And you have to be asking yourself, well, then why wouldn't people want that? Why? It's because they have been brainwashed by the media, by their echo chamber, to hate this man. Think about it. They have been convinced that Donald Trump is pure evil, that they are willing to destroy the Constitution, to lock up political opponents, to turn this country into a third world banana republic to keep him from getting in. They are willing to destroy democracy in the name of democracy. These people are sick. We are dealing with a social pathogen. We are dealing with a mass mental disorder that is flooding, that is absolutely overtaken the population in our country, vast portions of our population. And every now and again, you'll see people break off from the pack. Every now and again. This story that I'm about ready to give you gives me hope. This is something that I see, and I'm seeing more and more often. Our country is essentially being run by the leftists on Twitter. That's what it is. You go through Twitter, you read through Twitter, you see what these people are saying. The brainwashed people, the bootlickers, the Democrat, the Bolsheviks. They're all brainwashed with the same talking points, and they repeat the same talking points like the freaking Borg, man. They cannot think for themselves, and they refuse to see anything that doesn't fall in line with their narrative. They have a massive confirmation bias, and this is why they do not watch anything on our side. This is why they have no idea what we're thinking about. And we know everything about what they're thinking. Is because we think critically. They do not. They have to be told what to think and when to think it. But it's stories like what I'm getting ready to read you that gives me hope. So I got an article here from Just the News, John Solomon over there. And it says, ex-Democrat turned GOP lawmaker says former party's policies are sabotaging communities. And it led to her switch. This is a common theme I am seeing from people that don't watch CNN and MSNBC to people that maybe used to be brainwashed and was brainwashed for a few years, but now are starting to see the truth. This is why the establishment is lashing out like it is. This is why every time bad news comes out about Joe Biden and the corrupt Department of Justice, Merrick Garland, or our southern border or something, this is why every time something negative comes out about the Biden family's corruption, the real criminals in our nation's capital, the people that should be indicted, every time something bad comes out, every time people get a peek inside the corrupt establishment, Donald Trump gets another indictment. They're controlling the news cycle. They're controlling the information that you see. This is how they control the narrative. None of this is coincidental. None of it. There's no accidents in politics. All of this is purposeful. These people have used the taxpayer-funded intel agencies that were supposed to protect us, the system that was supposed to work for us, and they're actually using it now against the people. This is why you have parents being investigated by the FBI. This is why you have undercover agents going in churches. This is why you have undercover agents at the J6 protests. This is why you have pre-dawn raids on Republicans. This is what is happening. Trust me, it gives me no joy to say it. But our country is being overtaken by the elite ruling class. And they have, over the years, accumulated power so much to where now they own almost everything. The only thing ladies and gentlemen, they're trying to indict Donald Trump on his tweets. Look at the indictments. They're insane. They're trying to indict people for challenging elections, and not just anybody, but the former president of the United States and every single lawyer that represented him. There's 18 people that are being charged with conspiracy, with a RICO law. You're talking about people that will be spending a minimum of 5 years in prison. Donald Trump right now, if he's convicted and sentenced on all of his charges, will be spending almost 700 years in prison. They're not playing around. These people are desperate. Just like Newt said, this is a desperate act from the Washington establishment to keep and retain their power. But like I said, every now and again, you'll see somebody break off, and it does show a little bit of hope. So Georgia State Representative Misha Maynor discusses the reasons for her exit from the Democratic Party. Maynor commenting that it came to the point where, quote, not only were they not making a difference, they were literally sabotaging the community. Saying the issues is that the Democrat leaders are not listening to the people. They are listening to a group of people that are creating an agenda that supports their own personal agenda, not the agenda of the actual American people. One example was the party's support of illegal immigration she could not get behind. There are people in some communities where they literally are living outside of an apartment building or sleeping on a sofa because there aren't enough beds inside the apartment building. But yet, we want to send $1 billion to the border, put people up in hotels where we're not even taking care of our own people. You have to take care of home before you can take care of others. That was a Democrat, ladies and gentlemen. Well, a former Democrat. This is the kind of stuff that happened. This is why I left the Democrat Party. I seen this stuff a long, long time ago. When Barack Obama was in office, I voted for him in 2008. I know you heard the story 100 times. Around 2010 or 11, I realized the game. I don't know what it was. I don't know if it was because I got older. I don't know if it was because I had kids or whatever the case was. But you know what they call a Democrat that grows wise? A conservative. And so that is exactly what happened when I woke up, or I awoken. I seen everything for what it was. And I really wasn't active at that point, but I kind of I didn't think everyone knew what I was thinking. And so I never really talked about it a whole lot until Donald Trump came along. And Donald Trump was saying everything that I was thinking. And then I found out that there was a lot of people that were thinking the way I was thinking. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is where the Make America Great Again movement started. This is the most incredible movement I have ever experienced in my life, and probably most of you, because in fact, we haven't seen anything like this in generations. It's incredible to see the amount of patriotism and people that just love their country and just want this country to do great, not for them, but for their fellow Americans. They want a country where they can look around and see everybody prospering and everybody happy. They want to know they can send their kids to school and not be brainwashed with leftist radical ideologies. Like, they just want normalcy. They said Joe Biden was a vote for normalcy. I don't see anything normal about this. I haven't seen anything normal in 2.5 years. Joe Biden promised us unity and gave us a banana republic. Just look at the damage that they have caused in just 2.5 years. It is astronomical. It's unfathomable. Honestly, it really is. You cannot... it would take me a whole show to go down the list of all the things the Democrats have destroyed in the last 8 years. And all this started when Donald Trump was elected. If people really don't think that there's a corrupt establishment, deep state inside our government, you need to read the Durham Report. The Durham Report talks about all of this, about how the FBI was weaponized by the Hillary Clinton campaign, the DNC, how they paid for a fake dossier, a dossier that the FBI knew it was fake. And they took that warrant and they used it to spy on a presidential campaign, Donald Trump's campaign. And guess who was president when all that was happening? Barack Obama. All this started with the guy that I voted for. I feel bad. I feel embarrassed. I feel like I did something wrong voting for Obama. Even though I didn't know at the time what this guy was going to do. I didn't know this guy was going to fundamentally change this country into some kind of dystopian nightmare that we're watching right now. Where all they want to do is, like Oliver Anthony said in that new song, they want to control what you do, they want to know what you think, and they want to control everything. I didn't know that. This is why I feel bad voting for Obama. But ladies and gentlemen, after Donald Trump was elected, that's when the shenanigans should have stopped. In a normal country, with a normal government institution that has overwatch by the American people, a government that works for the American people, if we had that system in place, the one that the founders intended us to have, all that political stuff with the spying and the weaponization of the intel agencies to overthrow an election, to interfere in an election, that should have stopped, but it didn't. It didn't stop, and I got some audio here that's going to explain to you exactly how this transitioned from a political spying campaign to interfere in an election to an insurrection with the intent to overthrow a duly elected president.
What happened January 5th was this was memorialized in a Susan Rice memo. She was Obama's national security advisor. There was a meeting at the White House. This was the day before. This was a day before the Electoral College vote in 2017 that was to confirm Donald Trump's victory. And Obama was meeting with James Comey, with Sally Yates. Susan Rice was there, as was Vice President, now President Joe Biden. And during that meeting, they discussed the Russia investigation. Obama told James Comey to continue the investigation, but to go by the book. And they also said, well, that was from a law enforcement perspective, as Ms. Rice put it. And from an intelligence perspective, they wanted to know if they could share information regarding Russia with the incoming Trump team. The important thing to remember about this, everyone in that room knew that Russiagate was garbage. It was an information warfare campaign designed before the election to spy on Donald Trump and to delegitimize Trump's candidacy. After the election, when Hillary Clinton had lost her run, Barack Obama took over the operation. That's what the January 5th meeting was about. Susan Rice memorialized that this was the day that Barack Obama took over what was a campaign dirty trick and turned it into an instrument to not only delegitimize his successor and his presidency, as well as the electorate that had voted for him, but also by accusing Donald Trump of being a Russian spy to destabilize the United States.
Now you know why I feel bad for voting for Obama. If I knew then what I know now, I never would have. Never. The amount of damage Barack Obama has brought this country is unbelievable. But I promise, ladies and gentlemen, I promise, with everything that is holy to me, history will remember these days. History will remember all the players. And history will remember all the players in this game. And Barack Obama was the ringleader in all of this stuff. This is exactly when all of this started. Exactly. I always ask the question, when did all this madness start? It started that day, January 5th of 2017, with that meeting. It's crazy. It really is. And so this was the inner workings of our deep state at the time. All these people that were loyal to Obama, Donald Trump didn't know. Donald Trump had no idea who these people were. So instead of going in like he should have and fired all these people that were loyal to Obama and not loyal to the current president of the United States or loyal to the people and Constitution like they're supposed to be, he left them in. The exact opposite. They wanted to destroy Donald Trump. They wanted to overthrow his election. And then this thing just led to one thing into another, into another. A lot of mistakes were made in the Donald Trump administration. I'm not going to lie. I can't praise the guy on everything. I just can't. If you're being honest, the guy did a lot of stuff wrong. Mainly choosing the right people to surround himself by, choosing the people in his cabinet. That was a disastrous mistake, and I'm sure he's regretting it now. Because that system that he failed to eliminate is now coming after him. Because they know that he can win again. These people have so much disdain for the American people that they don't even trust them to vote for the president of the United States. They do not trust democracy. These people hate democracy. What they're trying to do is turn this country into either California or New York. They're trying to turn this place into a one-party state. That is what they want. So then they'll have complete control over everything. It'll look a lot like it does now, where they just arrest political opposition. They'll tell you what you can drive, what you can eat. It's going to get a lot worse. Where you can live, it's going to get a lot worse. Ladies and gentlemen, we have to defeat the Democrat Party. We have to. They must be defeated, or it is over. Our constitutional republic is teetering on the edge right now. Teetering. And we have millions and millions of Americans that can't see it because they're too blinded by hate. You want to know how evil regimes rose to power in the past? Just like this. So take out your camera and take a picture. Start taking notes. Because if we don't win in 2024, this will be another stain in human history where an evil regime rose to power, and the population did nothing to stop them, and the population supported them. That is exactly how Adolf Hitler rose to power. That's exactly how all of the evil regimes rose to power. One of the biggest questions I had when I was in 8th grade history class, I kept asking, I never asked the teacher, but I kept asking myself when we were going through the Holocaust readings, how the hell was this guy able to rise to power without pushback from the citizens? This is how. They do it in secret, incrementally, where you can't even notice. It's like the slow boil. It's like the frog in the pot of water. They just incrementally chip away at certain things, and the next thing you know, it's right on your front door. One of the perfect examples that I can think of, a real lifetime example of how a tyranny can rise, was during the pandemic. That was a real-time experiment of a rise of tyranny in a short span of time. Because what happened was people that weren't paying attention, people that weren't into politics, the people that had their head in the sand, they weren't paying attention. The next thing you know, they went into work one day and said, hey, you have to get vaccinated, and if you don't, you can't come back to work. That's when they found out, when it was already too late. And OSHA was already sending out mandates all across the land that people had to choose between getting a shot or lose their job. That, ladies and gentlemen, was the rise of tyranny. Take a picture, take notes, because that is exactly what they're doing right now. People aren't paying attention, and then it's going to be too late by the time they do. They're going to get that knock on the door. And right now, I'm able to make the show without anybody knocking on my door or getting emails or getting letters from anybody saying that I need to stop or I'm doing something wrong or I'm breaking the law. Not yet. But that day is coming. I promise you. They're trying to indict the former president and 18 different people in a RICO charge for his tweets. His tweets. For challenging an election. One of the indictments, it's in the indictment that because he asked for a phone number of a public representative, that is illegal now. This is what they're trying to make illegal. It is chilling. It gives me goosebumps just talking about it. How we have come to this point and how millions of people don't even see it. They are literally giggling on CNN and MSNBC with these indictments. Laughing, cheering. I wouldn't be surprised if they went home and popped a cork on a bottle of champagne. They can't even see it. But guess what, ladies and gentlemen? When the shit hits the fan and you got a one-party police state, these people are going to be regretting every bit of this. Or they're going to be part of it. These people aren't like me and you. The Chuck Todds, the Brian Stelters, the Chris Cuomos, these people are nothing like us. They have nothing in common with us. They live atop their ivory tower and they spit down on the American people. The people that they're lying to. They have nothing in common with the regular people. Nothing. Everything they do is part of a plan. It is part of their personal agenda. Nothing else matters except getting Donald Trump and stopping the movement. And so it makes you wonder, if they actually believe their lies, are they lying? I don't know, but it's certainly a lie. They're lying to the people. They're manipulating the public to get the public to do what they want. This is why when you get on Twitter, you see the same talking points. When you talk to Biden voters, when you talk to these radical leftists, These brainwashed people, these Borgs, the Bolsheviks, when you talk to them, they all repeat the same stuff. They all have the same mindset. Republicans too. Saying that because they don't like Donald Trump, that he deserves this. Nobody, ladies and gentlemen, nobody deserves this kind of treatment. This is so freaking un-American, it's not even funny. It doesn't matter what you feel about somebody. It doesn't matter what they say. It doesn't matter if what they say you disagree with. It doesn't matter if they challenge an election. It doesn't matter if they lie. It still isn't illegal. You still can't arrest them and imprison them for the rest of their life because of it. That flies in the face of what America was supposed to be. That flies in the face of the founding fathers. And you know, the founders had to deal with a lot of this stuff too. And I got one more piece because I got a lot of other stuff I got to research and get into for the next show. I wasn't even going to do a show today, but I wanted to come on here because I'm just shocked. Listening to all the news, I'm just completely shocked that we have millions of people that don't see the kind of damage that's being done to our country. None. Absolutely none. And they can't even look far enough ahead to ask themselves the question, well, who's going to accept any of our elections now? How are we going to move forward as a country if you make speech illegal? What, are we just going to have it to where only one party can challenge an election? If Democrats get away with this, they're going to win every single election because they will arrest their political opponents while they sit and do the same exact thing and nothing happens to them, just like it's happening right now. It's truly terrifying stuff, and I don't know what else to do but talk about it. I do research. I'm trying to get, and even now, I didn't even prepare for the show. I have no show notes, nothing. I have nothing except an article that I read right before I got onto you, and I read that to you already. I had some audio that I picked up real quick of Newt, which I got right before I got on the show, and it made me think, as I was thinking about the show, a few minutes before the show, it made me think about this book called God is the Issue. We have a social pathogen, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know what it is, but there is something going on with our society to where people are just brainwashed. They are stuck in this echo chamber. The media, our Hollywood, schools, colleges, and universities have people all thinking like the damn Borg. It's like a massive population. It's like groupthink. It's one of the most dangerous things you can have in a country is groupthink, where people all think the same stuff. And that is exactly what we're witnessing. This is why you have millions of people that are perfectly okay with criminalizing speech. Speech, our First Amendment. They're trying to criminalize the petitioning your representatives. That is essentially what they're trying to do in this indictment from Georgia. Big Fani Willis is essentially saying because Donald Trump reached out to Georgia election representatives that he broke the law. If they're allowed to get through with this, that means that just petitioning your government, petitioning your state representatives will be or could be considered to be illegal. Even right now, legal scholars have no idea if by contacting their state representatives or attorneys or they question the election, they don't know if they could be indicted or not. This is where this indictment has taken us. This is where Fani Willis has taken us. When you can be indicted for trying to petition your state representatives, we have entered some extremely dark days. And the worst thing is, this is the worst thing. It's one thing for these people to actually do it. It's an entirely different thing when you have half the population that supports it. That, to me, ladies and gentlemen, is terrifying. It reminds me of the day, and I asked myself the question, how the hell did the people not push back against Adolf Hitler? How the hell did the people not push back to the rise of the Nazis in the 1930s? How? It's just like this. The Nazi Party had full control of the media. They were able to do exactly what's happening right now. They got millions and millions of people to support the rise of Adolf Hitler, the rise of the Nazi Party. And just like what we're witnessing right now, they didn't realize what they had done until it was too late. They got tricked. They got fooled. And they did it incrementally. I'm done trying to play nice. I'm done trying to play beat around the bush. We are witnessing something very similar to the rise of the Nazis back in the 1930s. It does not bring me any joy saying that, and I'm not being hyperbolic. Nobody's being hyperbolic anymore, ladies and gentlemen. Like, this is this is like serious shit that is happening right now. You're talking about people questioning whether they can contact their representatives or not, their public officials. Because that is exactly what they're indicting Donald Trump on. It's in the indictment. Because he made a tweet or he sent a text message asking for a phone number of somebody in public office, a public official. That's one of the charges that they're charging him with. That's in the indictment. But like I said, this is a social pathogen. This is what happens when all evil regimes rise to power. You have the social acceptance of millions of people. Not a majority at all. And in fact, it's the exact opposite. You have minority control over the majority. That is exactly what's happening. Right now, we have people on Twitter. We have the people stuck in the echo chamber, the people in the media, CNN, MSNBC, the people that are part of the establishment are the minority. I can almost guarantee the majority of American people would not like what is happening right now if they knew exactly what was happening, or if they knew what the outcome was going to be. This is why it's extremely important that people read history as well, something that they're teaching less and less in schools. So this social change, so we have to make a social change. We have to make a social change. And there was a book called God is the Issue. I haven't read the whole thing. It's old. I think it came out in the 1940s or 50s by a guy, an author by Brad Bright. And one of the chapters is chapter 4, is defining 7 rules of social change. And underneath the chapter 4 title is a quote from the Bible. A wise man has great power, and a man of knowledge increases strength. This is why I try and communicate with as many people as I can. This is the key to creating social change, ladies and gentlemen, is just talking about this stuff. So like my buddy I was talking about earlier, who doesn't really get into politics, and even he sees what is happening here. And so all we have to do is just communicate more. We have to talk more. We have to communicate with our neighbors. We have to communicate with our friends and family. Everybody. We have to talk to everybody. That is one of the things that you can do. It is one of the most effective things you can do. You know, like unlike Democrats, we do not organize. We never were. We are the party of people that just want to be left alone. Okay? That is it. We want to be left alone. We want to live a happy life in peace and prosperity, all that good stuff. We just want to be left alone. We do not organize like that. And that is why the Democrats were able to take control over all these institutions. They are masters at the language, manipulating the language, and they are masters at organization. And they are. But Republicans, we're getting better. So what we need to do is use their tricks. Use their tactics against them. We need to talk and organize. We need to talk about everything that's happening, friends and neighbors. Do it. I know it may not be good. Talk about it at work. Talk about it with your friends. Talk about it with your family. Talk to everybody. Because we got to make this change. We got to change this social pathogen that is infecting our society and destroying our country. This is absolutely dark, dark times, ladies and gentlemen. Dark. I never thought I would see this day in this country. Never. Anyways, all right, so chapter 4 in that book, rule number 1 is a highly committed handful of individuals is required to drive the process of social change. Only a relative handful of people is required to move the thinking of the broader culture if that group is highly committed to its cause. But they must be willing to sacrifice everything if the need arises. This seems to be what the history books indicate. Our founding fathers understood this principle. All 56 of the men who signed the Declaration of Independence knew that they might well die a traitor's death. 9 of their rank did die during the Revolutionary War. 5 others were captured and tortured by the British. 12 lost their homes, 17 lost their fortunes, 2 lost their sons. Despite all of this, not a single one defected. Not a single man failed to honor his pledge and stated in the final sentence of the Declaration of Independence, quote, "For the support of this declaration with a firm reliance on the protection of divine providence, we mutually pledge to each other our lives, our fortunes, and our sacred honor." In the end, despite the odds, they triumphed. There you go, ladies and gentlemen. We need to lean on our Constitution as much as possible. The other side is trying to rip it to pieces. They're using it as a weapon to go after their political opponents. We need to lean on the founders' principles, our fundamental, basic principles. Our patriotism, our love for this country, our love for thy God. We need to rely and lean on all of this. And most of all, we need to rely on the lessons that the founders taught us during the Revolutionary War, when this country was created, when the American idea was birthed on this land. That is what we need to lean on now more than anything. And so I have to start wondering, where are all these Republican district attorneys? Why is there not? We are in a civil war, folks. The revolution is here. What Barack Obama did by weaponizing the justice system to defeat Donald Trump and overthrow a duly elected president, that was the insurrection. The insurrection has already happened. And then now they have full control of the United States government and all the institutions in it. This is the revolution brought to us by the Democrats and the corrupt establishment in Washington, D.C., the elite ruling class, the corporate donors, all of them. The Democrat Party has now become the party of the rich ruling class. They're now the party of the rich ruling class elites. They are. They hate this country. They don't fly American flags. And in fact, they burn American flags. They hate the Constitution. That's why you have colleges like Harvard and Stanford teaching their young law students that the Constitution needs to be scrapped. We're witnessing all of this. When did this happen? How did this happen? Something has changed. Democrats, when I was a Democrat, we still loved this country. We still flew a flag in our front yard. You can tell who's a Democrat and who's a Republican now just by if they're flying a freaking flag in their front yard or not. And then you have libs of TikTok. You have people on TikTok saying that the American flag offends them and gives them anxiety. When did it all happen? With Barack Obama. I know it's a big pill to swallow, but it is. And so Republicans in Congress, our leaders in Congress and that we hired, that work for us, need to get his ass, need to get to the bottom of what happened in the Biden corruption. Because I'm telling you folks, Joe Biden is not going to be the nominee. There is no freaking way. Not with the mountain of evidence they have. So they're working on a backup plan. I know it. Barack Obama was just having lunch with Biden a couple weeks ago. What did they talk about? I don't know, but I guarantee it was nothing good. And I guarantee it was something about this. So I don't know what they have up their sleeve, but this is definitely part of it. They have a massive plan. Like I said, they're badass at organizing, and they are active. They're activists. They are way better at us than this. They've been doing it for a lot longer than us, but it's time we step up and start doing something. And so I asked the Republicans in our Congress, where the hell are you at? District attorneys around the country, where the hell are you at? Start getting involved. It's like we're in a civil war. We're in this revolutionary war, the civil war, but there's only one side fighting. And that seems like how it always is. But you know what? The Democrats, they're perfectly fine. The Republicans, the Washington corrupt Republicans, the establishment rhinos, they're perfectly fine being controlled opposition. They don't care. These are the same people that are supporting the persecution of Joe Biden's political opponent. The same people. Because they're part of the system too. Like Mitch McConnell is corrupt as hell. They're all involved, ladies and gentlemen, all of them. Every single one of these politicians that have been in there for 40, 50 years, all of them need investigated, and if they have broken any laws, they need to be indicted. Enough of this shit. Why do these people live in a completely different country than us? They make these stupid-ass laws, they pass them for their own benefit, and then we have to flip the bill and pay the damn price. These people have been in control for decades, and this country's been in decline for decades, except for the 4 years that the outsider was in office. And for those 4 years, Donald Trump showed the American people that it can be done. That everything they've been telling you for decades is a damn lie. These people come out and they fight each other on CNN and MSNBC, then they give fist bumps to one another when talking about what they're going to be stuffing into the next bill that the American people are going to have to pay for. Those people are part of the establishment. Those people don't want to see Donald Trump in there. They have their club and they don't want to lose it. And so, look, ladies and gentlemen, if the founding fathers knew what had to be done, so do we. If the founding fathers didn't give up, neither can we. And that's all I ask. Just don't give up. I know it's going to be morale crushing and it's going to be hard. It's going to be difficult, but I promise you, we will succeed in the end. How much damage is going to be caused by then? I have no idea. It's hard to tell. But I'm telling you right now, if we do not stop the Democrats in 2024, if these people are not defeated, it's not going to be good. It's not going to be good. You will see the rise of a 100% administrative police state. You will have a police state. You will have one party rule where you don't know if you challenge an election, you'll be arrested. If you even run for president, you could be arrested. If you run for office and they don't like you, you could be arrested. They can essentially charge you for anything. You petition your government and they don't like it, arrested, charged and arrested. And it's not that these people know they're going to get away with any of these bullshit cases. They know they're not. But the process is the punishment. That is how they've always done it. Look how much money is going to have to be spent now by all these people that have been indicted. They're going to be hung up on charges, and this is what they do. I just hope these people that have been indicted, I hope they show strength, and we all of us need to say a prayer for these people. And especially the 16 people in Michigan that got indicted, the senior citizens. One of those people is a woman that's 81 years old. 81. And now she's going to have to come up with $200,000 to defend her life, to keep herself out of prison. They know what they're doing is bullshit. They know that you're allowed to send alternate slate of electors. They've done it and talked about it for years, for decades. 2000, 1960. They know what they're doing. They know it's bullshit. But the process is the punishment. They are not coming after Donald Trump. They're coming after the entire damn movement. They're coming after the entire damn notion that people want to make America great again. They want to crush it. They want to burn it, and they want to never talk about it again. And they want to erase it. Donald Trump came so close from ruining their damn party. Donald Trump was never supposed to get elected. He was never supposed to beat Hillary Clinton, but the will of the people caught the establishment off guard, punched him in the nose, and made him stumble back a little bit. Now these people are up with their fists up, and they're fighting back. And we got them cornered. This is their last stand, ladies and gentlemen. Just remember that. This is the establishment's last stand. They are desperate. They know the American people are about ready to get their country back, and they don't want to let it go. Do not let these people keep control of this country. Do not let them control everything we do. Do not let them continue to keep this country in a decline. This is our country. It's the American people's country. We fought for it. We pay for it. It is ours. These people work for us. And it's about damn time we get our damn country back. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's all I got for the show. Thank you for tuning in. I'm going to be more prepared on the next show. This was just a last-minute thing. I wanted to reach out to you guys. I wanted to let you know what's going on, what to do, and just to keep talking about everything that's happening. If somebody's talking about the Donald Trump indictment, ask them this question. Well, what do you think's going to happen in the 2024 election? Or who do you think is going to accept an election when the incumbent party arrested its political opponent? How is anybody going to accept a 2024 election? Just start getting people to think about the future. Get people to think about the country, not themselves. That is the biggest problem we have. People are so self-interested, so self-absorbed. Everything's about me, mine, mine, mine. Nobody gives a damn about anybody else anymore. It's one of the biggest problems we have, and I think that's why it was so easy for the corrupt establishment, this machine, to take over the minds of the American people. It's sad, but it's not over, ladies and gentlemen. We can get this country back. It's ours, and that's exactly what we're going to do. So, again, make sure you talk to your friends and family. Share the show with your friends and family. I really appreciate it. If you could, go to Rumble, subscribe to my Rumble channel, subscribe to my YouTube channel if it's still up. I don't know. And follow the show on any podcast platform. Share the show with your friends and family. If you want these articles that I read, I actually have, I took scans of the pages from that book, God is the Issue. It was talking about the founders and how they didn't defect, even though they had all this stuff happening to them. I'll post that on my podcast description, and I'll leave the article, the Just the News article from John Solomon in my podcast description as well, that discusses that Democrat leaving the Democrat Party because the communities were being wrecked. And that is the kind of stuff that we need to share. Ask these people, what has the Democrat Party done for you? What has this Washington establishment done for you? Ask them. Just keep talking about it. Ask them questions. Make them think. Make them think critically. They got to detach themselves from the matrix, and you can help them do that by just giving them the ultimatum of taking the red pill or the blue pill. It's easy, and I would actually prefer them to take the white pill. So, all right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in. As always, you guys have a good day. You guys have a good week. God bless you. God bless America. You guys have a good day. Bye-bye.